lecture. Welcome to our last lecture of human biology. I added a new question to the poll, so I would like you to sign in and answer the poll question. And again, remember to put your name there so I know it's you. I saw Justin that you signed in, but I haven't seen anyone else so far. I hope it's if it's not, if you're not able to sign in, let me shoot me an email and I'll know. Yes, Katie, insulin and glucagon, very good. Here's another question. Oh, I should not have said the answer. Justin, yes, insulin and glucagon. Okay, here's another question. Which of those hormones decrease blood glucose levels? Which of the hormones decrease blood glucose levels? Yes, Corral. Very good, Corral. So yes, insulin decreases blood glucose, while Justin, that's correct too. Yes, insulin decreases blood glucose levels. What are the... Okay, so Justin, you said you were listening, but the poll wasn't working. Okay, thanks for letting me know. There were two other hormones we mentioned last time, parathyroid hormone and calcitonin, which is involved in increasing blood calcium levels. Parathyroid hormone and calcitonin, which of those two are involved in increasing blood calcium levels? Yes, parathyroid hormone, Justin, yes. Parathyroid hormone increases blood calcium levels, and it does so by increasing osteoclast activity. So it breaks down the osteoclast, and that, well, I'm sorry, osteoclasts break down the bone, which causes calcium to be released into the blood. Okay, Vikan, I see you here too. Good. Right. Let's move on. Well, I should ask some more questions. Let's see. Which of the disorders we mentioned on last time, well, I should say, let me ask it this way. Graves' disease is associated with which adrenal gland? With which adrenal gland is Graves' disease associated with? Insulin and somatostatin. The adrenal gland, not quite, is associated with, Graves' disease is associated with the thyroid, not the adrenal cortex, the thyroid. Okay. So Graves' disease is caused by an overproduction of thyroid hormones. So I will start there. So I'm going to share my screen now. So thyroid abnormalities, we talked about simple goiter, which is caused by constant stimulation by the anterior pituitary. So it's due to a lack of iodine in the diet. The body detects that lack of iodine. So to compensate, to get more iodine, the anterior pituitary will keep stimulating the thyroid gland, but because there's no iodine to make the hormones, because iodine is needed for making the thyroid hormones, the thyroid gets enlarged, and that's known as simple goiter. That's shown there. Then there's hypothyroidism, which is low blood levels of thyroid, low thyroid levels can lead to congenital hypothyroidism and myxedema. Congenital hypothyroidism, it results in individuals that are short and stocky, and they may actually be mentally retarded. So we're seeing that here. That's congenital hypothyroidism. Now let's go back here. There's myxedema. This is hypothyroidism in adults, and it's usually characterized by fatigue, lethargy, weight gain, loss of hair, puffy skin, cold and intolerant, feeling cold and all the time. So that's hypothyroidism, so not enough thyroid hormones. Then there's hyperthyroidism, where you have excess hormones being produced, and an example of that is exophthalmic goiter, which is also known as Graves' disease. And one of the classic features of that, characteristic of that, is the protrusion of the eyes. And these individuals are usually hyperactive and suffer from insomnia. And you can see that here, exophthalmic goiter, and you can see it manifested in just one eye, but it could also be manifested in both eyes, as seen here. And then you have those club fingers. Okay. All right. So let's go over the list of glands, major glands. We have a hypothalamus, posterior and anterior pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, the adrenal glands, which we have both the cortex, the adrenal cortex, and the adrenal medulla. And then we ended with the pancreas, looking at the role of insulin and glucagon in controlling blood glucose levels. And let's get to that. And we will talk about diabetes. Diabetes, which is very abundant in the US. It affects 25.8 million people of all ages. 8.3% of the US population. That equals to 8.3% of the US population that are diagnosed with diabetes. Okay. But there still remains a large group that are undiagnosed. So you have about 18.8 people that are diagnosed. Then you have 7.7 million people who have diabetes and have no idea. So they remain undiagnosed. So diabetes is quite common in the United States. So diabetes basically is the inability to control your glucose levels. There are two types, type 1 and type 2. We'll look at the differences in a little while, but these are the general symptoms of diabetes: frequent urination, unusual hunger or thirst, unexplained changes in weight, blurred vision, sores that heal slowly or not at all, excessive fatigue. And these are some of the long-term effects: blindness, loss of limb, nerve deterioration, kidney and cardiovascular disease. So a lot of times we kind of sometimes could be very flippant about diabetes, but it's very serious. It can lead to so many other complications. It's best to, try to avoid getting it. You could avoid type 2 based on dietary and lifestyle, but type 1 is not necessarily avoidable. It's an autoimmune disease, and it tends to run in family. It's usually occurs early in life, so sometimes it's referred to as juvenile diabetes. So it's a early onset diabetes. In type 1 diabetes, the pancreatic cells that are responsible for producing insulin are not working well. They're attacked. It could be autoimmune. Well, we said it is autoimmune. So your antibodies start attacking these pancreatic cells and prevent them from producing insulin. So individuals with type 1 diabetes need insulin injections in order to function normally. Type 2 diabetes, known as adult onset diabetes, occurs later in life, so over age 20. So if you have diabetes that occurs before age 20, typically it's type 1 diabetes. But with the obesity epidemic in the United States and in the world, in a lot of countries, Western countries, you're now seeing children with type 2 diabetes, adult onset diabetes, occurring at a younger and younger age. So type 2 diabetes, it says usually adult onset. It tends to occur in obese individuals, obese sedentary individuals. In type 2 diabetes, the cells, the pancreatic cells are able to produce insulin. So it's not a pancreatic defect. Okay, so the pancreas is producing insulin. The problem is that the cells are not responding to insulin. So insulin is being produced, and insulin should be able to, under normal circumstances, insulin gets inside the cell and helps to reduce the glucose in the cells. But in type 2 diabetes, these cells do not respond to insulin. They're not responding to insulin. And this type 2 diabetes is usually diet and exercise related. So you can control it by controlling your diet and exercise. Okay. Let me see if there are any questions on that. No. Daryl, you have here insulin and pancreatic lipase. No. The two hormones were insulin and glucagon. Insulin and glucagon. These are the hormones produced by the pancreas. Okay, next gland. Testes. Testes. These are glands found in only males. They are referred to as your gonads. So testes are another name for them are gonads. And they're found in males. They produce androgens. An example of that is testosterone. And testosterone is involved in, responsible for the secondary male sex characteristics like facial hair, underarm hair, pubic hair. Testosterone also stimulates the growth of the penis and testes, and also is involved in promoting the larynx or vocal cords to enlarge, allowing for the male voice to be lower. It also promotes muscular strength. So males tend to be stronger than females because of the presence of testosterone. So the testes produce androgens, and example of that is testosterone, and it involves really helping to define male physical characteristics. Ovaries are the gonads found in females, and they produce estrogen and progesterone. And it shows you here the list of list of traits that are affected by these hormones. Okay. All right, so make sure you go over that. Then we have number 10, the thymus gland. which is found beneath the sternum. So your sternum, if you recall, that's we also known as the breastbone. So beneath the sternum, you have your thymus gland. This gland is largest and most active during childhood. So as you mature, as you grow, it gets smaller. This is where your T cells, your T lymphocytes become mature. So if you recall, your T cells are produced in the bone marrow. Then they travel from the bone marrow to the thymus gland where they become mature. And maturity means they become developed to a point that they're actually able to fight infection. Okay, so without that, without the thymus gland, your T cells are not going to be mature and you won't be able to do the work it needs. So if your thymus gland isn't working well, then you could be immune compromised. So the thymus secretes thymosins, hormones known as thymosins that aid in the differentiation of lymphocytes, basically making them mature, makes the cells mature and differentiate them into the different types of T lymphocytes. If you recall, during infection, the T cells differentiate. Some become memory cells, some become killer T cells, some become helper T cells. So this is the differentiation that occurs, that is allowed by or facilitated by thymosins, which are produced by the thymus gland. Last gland we have is the pineal gland, which is found in the brain, and this gland secretes melatonin. And melatonin helps to regulate our circadian rhythms, and it also may play a role in regulating sexual development. So melatonin is also known as the dark hormone. So it's produced usually when there is no light around, and it helps us to sleep better. Okay, so during the night when lights are off, the melatonin is produced, and that helps to locate our circadian rhythm. That is why a lot of times when you travel long distances, if you do some of those transoceanic flights, you end up with jet lag, because during the flight, usually you're not producing enough melatonin. By the time you land, you're all whacked out because you don't know, your body can't tell if it's day or night because you're on a different continent most likely. And so it affects your circadian rhythm that way. So it's good if you're traveling long distance to try to get some sleep. I think a lot of times using an eye mask really helps with that, because it helps it to, you feel like you're in the dark. Right. And then we have hormones produced from other tissues, like erythropoietin. That's a hormone produced by the kidney. We mentioned that earlier, and that's involved in red blood cell production. That's EPO. Erythropoietin is the same as EPO. Then there's leptin. This is a hormone produced by your fat cells, and they help you. Leptin tells your body, they act on the hypothalamus and gives you a feeling of being satiated, tells you that you're full. So after you've eaten, typically under normal circumstances, these fat cells will release leptin, and then it will tell your body you've had enough. If that's not working, then you might eat more than you should, and it could lead to being overweight. And then you have your prostaglandins. These are, we mentioned that Monday, these are chemicals that they're not carried in the bloodstream, but they can affect cells that are local, so localized effect. Some cause smooth cell contraction. There are others that impact reproductive organs. They may and they play lots of roles. These prostaglandins is what your pain relieving drugs act on. Aspirin and ibuprofen block the synthesis of these hormones, because the presence of prostaglandins cause muscle contraction. So in women who are experiencing cramps, for example, monthly cramps, that's because of prostaglandins. They're causing the uterus to contract. And so ibuprofen and aspirin, which are the active ingredients found in Tylenol or Midol or Motrin, they help to block the synthesis of these prostaglandins, and as a result, it decreases the contraction of the muscle, and hence your pain is relieved. Okay, so that's it. that is it for this semester, guys. It was great meeting you guys, and I had a good time. I hope you learned valuable things from the class that you could take take with you for the rest of your life. Okay, so I'll be praying for you guys for a test on Tuesday, and that all goes well. Any questions for me? If not, well, have a good rest of the week, and bye. Yes, there is a drop test. No, there is no drop lab. The final exam is on this. The time is on the syllabus, or look at the final exam is determined by the university. So you can find it on the syllabus, or you can find it online. Look on the Andrews webpage. Just Google final exam schedule, and it will show you there. There is no additional study guide to email, Daryl. The study guide I emailed you is of the last chapters that you were not tested on. So study guide 4 contains this material for the chapters you were not tested on. The cumulative portion of the exam is based on the first 3 exams, those previous study guides as to study. Yes, you have to go to the classroom for the final exam. The lowest test will be dropped automatically. Yes, one of the finals can be dropped. Study Guide 4 was posted on Moodle, on the Learning Hub. There is nothing that could be done at this point for Mr. Lab. I know the Learning Hub is down. It should be back up in a few hours. The final exam, there is a cumulative portion which covers the first 3 exams, and then the portion that you weren't tested on are the endocrine and nervous system. That's the second part of the final. I don't know how many questions are on the test, but each portion of the final is worth 100 points. You're welcome, Justin.